What's up, everybody? Tuesday night, right here on the Tony Cutillo Show Live, and so much to talk about. If you haven't been following, as always, like, subscribe, the drill, and I've rebranded a little bit, trying to bring you some different style of content, some different style of look back, some different style of what ifs. So that's where the Tony Cutillo Show is right now, where it's podcasted. Okay, when I have special guests come in the studio, like the great Jason Lee from PHL 17 that joined me last week, the great Coach Dave Dixon, who Coach Dave joined me live. We talked about the steroid issue last week. We talked about the Philly losses, the most hurtful Philly losses. And I feel like that's a good segue because I want to start bringing back some live content as well. Because I've noticed last night, even when I type in some things, man, and the comments hit, people start to talk. People want to vent. And I know you're going to get it everywhere. I understand that. But I got to go rapport with a lot of people, and it's always nice to sling some comments back and forth. You're like watching on Facebook. Make sure you get over to that YouTube channel, okay? If at all possible, because I don't always see the comments on Facebook. I tell people that all the time. I don't always see the comments on Facebook. If you're watching on the old Heat Ratio Sports YouTube page, get over to the Tony Cutillo Show YouTube page as we try to swing everybody over to there as we consistently build this type of product. Now, a lot of stuff to talk about. Eagles in chaos, right? There was a lot of people talking about what they felt about the Eagles. Oh, and by the way, before we get into that, most importantly, all our partners on the bottom of the screen right there, from BetQL to Tails to Better Picks to Underdog to Sleeper. Very, very simple. See that QR code right there? Free plays, promos, deals, you know it. That's all you need to do. Scan that with your phone. Boom. Everything is right there because you don't want to miss your opportunity to get anything. Because, again, I tell us like this people all the time. Everybody has partners. Everybody. Okay? Everybody has them. However, it's a matter of who you would like to support with those partners. So all I do is ask you, before you go to sign up with a partner, just think your little bit of jigsaw every now and then when we're talking about partners, okay? And that's betting and fantasy as always. So let's talk about the Eagles. Let's talk about the Phillies signing Kyle Schwarber to the 5-year, $150 million deal. 33 years old. Are you good? Is this something that we had to do, something that we should have done? What are the impacts to go down? I have the Tony's top 3 coming up. 3 really cool topics I want to talk about because I've been getting a lot of backlash on Twitter when we talk about certain things on certain quarterbacks that were maybe a little rude to one of the reporters from ESPN. And talk about another older quarterback coming back. We'll get into that a little later on. But let's just start talking with, how about good vibes? Before we get into negative vibes. And as you're checking in, anything you want to talk about, throw it in the comments. I will get to it. I will bring it up. And again, as always, like I say, make sure if you would like to join the program, if you would like to join, this is a highly interactive program. If you would like to join the program, very, very simple. I am going to put the link in the description, or I should say in the comments, and literally all you need to do, okay, all you need to do is grab a phone, click the link, and I will get you live on the air. Very, very simple. So if you have something that you want to hash out at, if you have something that, again, that you want to talk about, very, very simple. The link is in the chat on YouTube. You just need to click it. It's very, very simple. If, again, you're on Facebook and I don't see it, I apologize. Most importantly, like I say, get over to that YouTube page because that's where you're going to be able to get involved in the chat. Now, let's talk about a little positive. Well, maybe it's a positive, and that is the Philadelphia Phillies bringing back Kyle Schwarber. And I know you've heard it all day. You've heard, but everybody's got their own opinions. That's what makes it so great. And I'm kind of like 50-50. My mom texted me, a lot of people texted me, what do you think? You know what? Not sure. Right? I'm not sure. And I'm going to be honest because I went into this saying, do I think that Philadelphia Phillies should give Kyle Schwarber, the Brinks truck? Do I think they should give him $150+ million? And I said no. And the reason why I said no is because I don't want it to hinder what else they can do. Listen, I know everybody wants to run it back. I understand. Right? We all want to win. I get it. But if you keep running it back, with the same exact thing over and over and over again, don't you normally get the same result? Let's think about this. Think about the Atlanta Braves for all those years. Think about all those pennants, the Atlanta Braves, all those pennants that they won. And they kept running it back and running it back and running it back. The Buffalo Bills, run it back, run it back, run it back. But when you run it back, eventually there has to be a point when you're running it back that you say, maybe this is just never going to work. I don't want to be the negative guy here. I don't. And I love Kyle Schwarber. I love everything that he's brought to this city. I love everything that he's brought to this team. I love the blue collar work ethic. I love him in the clubhouse. I love that dynamic. To me, this is a contract that's 2 years. This is a 2-year contract to me. That's what, 3 years of dead money. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a 2-year contract with 3 years of dead money. Tell me I'm wrong. And the reason why I say that is because I look at it and say, you have 2 years. You have 2 years. We're already seeing the decline of Bryce Harper. And it's not huge, but we're seeing it. He's not elite anymore. Dombrowski was right. He's not elite anymore. He's a damn good player. But you're fooling yourself if you think Bryce Harper is going to single-handedly carry a team like an Ohtani. It's just not going to happen. So that's why these other moves are always made. My unfortunate opinion, though, when we talk about it, is I feel like with 3 years of dead money in Kyle Schwarber, it's something, again, that you really need to look at where, how about flipping a lineup? How about changing some things up? And if you're big boys in Trey Turner and Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and eventually it's going to be JT Realmuto because he's going to be back as well. If you've been here and you've done this and you've done it every single year and it still has not worked, why are we running it back? Again, part B of this discussion. What else is available? What other moves are available? See, here's the only issue I have. I feel like the Phillies, in some way, in some instance, they kind of got forced into this kind of contract. Because if you look at the market, and listen, Dombrowski is an extremely smart guy. He understands the entire economics of the game. He understands all the logistics. So what I think of when I talk about Dombro is this dude's looking, obviously, listen, he was interested in Marte. Not going to happen, obviously, now, right? Well, you think about it, there are things that you can do from a different standpoint. But if they're not available, listen, they look at the long game. They project, they think. And you listen, Dombro's not stupid. He projected. And he's like, look, if I don't sign Kyle Schwarber next year, what happens? Right? Right now, the best option we have is looking right in front of us, and that is Kyle Schwarber. That doesn't mean that it's a great contract. That doesn't mean that we need to be overly happy to say, this is it. It's going to 100% happen. I just don't see it. I want to pay money, and I want to pay to win in the postseason. And I'm so tired of people talking about the same thing over and over and over again. I want everybody to tell me that Arizona wasn't a pipe dream. Meaning, I want everybody to please give me faith to say, Tone, you're not right. Meaning, you're wrong. Arizona wasn't our best chance to win a World Series. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. We're going to do it 2 years from now. I want people to tell me that, because until then, that's what I see. I feel like that this team and their chances went away in that Arizona series. Because after that, that's when everything started to kind of leak oil a little bit. And then they gave that huge contract to Aaron Nola, which, again, who would you rather have right now? Aaron Nola or Ranger Suarez? Let's think about that. Who would you rather have right now? Aaron Nola or Ranger Suarez? Let's think about it. Because if you didn't sign Aaron Nola, you would have Ranger Suarez. Think about it. Listen, this isn't the Dodgers. I mean, look at the Dodgers. Do they go out and sign Edwin Diaz? $96 million. Who the hell cares? They don't care. They just spend money. They just spend money. They're out there just spending money. No big deal. Like it's like their own slot machine, right? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. The Phillies do not have infinite funds. They don't. They are a top 5 payroll. I understand that. But eventually, when you're the owner, you're going to pump the brakes a little bit and go, yo, I'm giving you guys everything. What else can I do? These dudes need to perform. So what they've told us today is we're running it back. Are you happy with that? That's the question. Are you happy with them running it back? Javon checking in says, would Schwarber sign? I wonder what the potential Realmuto deal will be. I wish they went out and acquired Harry Ford, who ended up in Washington. That was crazy. That Harry Ford move was crazy. Are you kidding me? They gave up a reliever to get him. Seriously. And we talked about how much. We talked about the relievers. We've talked about it. Matt Strom, everybody's interested. You know, I listen. If a reliever got you Harry Ford, that just means you weren't even looking. That just means Realmuto's definitely coming back. Like they weren't even looking at options, Javon. You know that, right? They weren't even looking at options. They were like, this dude's coming back. It's probably going to be a 2-year deal. And listen, I like JT. I do. I like JT. And I think he absolutely is the best option. I just keep looking at the Schwarber deal. But again, if you look at everybody who is available, Cody Bellinger, Alec Bregman, Kyle Tucker, I guess the argument is, would you been okay if, let's just go Alec Bregman, would you been okay if they don't sign Kyle Schwarber and they sign and they bring in Alex Bregman? Are you okay with that? Because that's the question. Are you okay with that? Like, and to me, the only thing I would say, it's a switch. It's a different lineup. Listen, I have to be sold again because I'm going. Here's my issue. I would love to talk to some Atlanta Braves fans in the 90s. I would love to talk to some Buffalo Bill fans in the 90s. Fans who lived it and kept going and I want to know how they got excited for the following year. How did they get excited for the following year? Because that's my issue. I want to get excited. And maybe you're going to tell me I'm spoiled because we have all these top-notch guys. However, when those top-notch guys don't play top-notch, when we need them to play top-notch, it doesn't matter if they're top-notch guys. That's my issue. Javon also says their best remaining moves might be trading Castellanos and Bohm, and you might not get nothing great back. Maybe they get Imai out of Japan. I saw that. I feel like they are going to definitely try to push for that international market. But like you said, Castellanos, but what are they really going to get you? Right? And that's my issue, man. That's my issue. The only exciting part I think we have is to watch Justin Crawford come up here and hopefully ball out. I kind of like an insertion of youth. But besides that, I think my biggest issue, and again, if you're checking in right now, make sure you like, subscribe. Let me know if I'm wrong here. But my biggest issue is I think every single one of these guys has already peaked out at some point. They've already peaked out at some point. And if these guys have already peaked out at some point, what is left for them to do? And that in lies my issue. That there lies my issue. Because now I look at this team and go, okay, I'm not hoping for A, B, or C because A, B, or C has already happened. I'm hoping for Bryson Stott to get, already happened. I'm hoping for Trey Turner, already happened. I'm hoping for Bryce Harper to, already happened. I'm hoping for Kyle Schwarber to hit 50, already happened. I'm hoping for JT to, already happened. I'm hoping for Zach Wheeler, already happened. You can only stay consistent for so long. It's hard as hell to stay consistent offensively with those kind of numbers. It's hard as hell to stay consistent from a pitcher. It's hard as hell to consistently win 90-plus games. But I'll tell you what, if you just continue to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and just say, well, we got a good team and eventually it's going to happen. Do we not forget that there's competition in Major League Baseball? Do we not forget that there's other teams that are going to make moves? Did we not forget that other teams are going to switch up and get better as well? See, that's my biggest issue. That's my biggest issue. My biggest issue continues to be I feel like these guys completely peaked out. I feel like these guys completely peaked out all at one time, and there's nothing left. There's nothing left for me to get excited for. And again, I don't know what else to say, and I don't know how else to feel. I really don't. I don't know how else to feel. So Kyle Schwarber, 5 years, $150 million, 33 years old, be 38 when the contract's up. Look, it's something that was right there. It was something that I feel like they thought they had to do. And I guess we're going to see how it works out. I'm sorry I'm not overjoyed. I'm not sorry I'm jumping up and down. I'm just like, okay. I again, if there was something else happening that was going to flip the script, if there was something else happening that was really going to change the whole concept of the lineup or of this team, maybe I would be extremely excited. But right now, again, I'm just kind of like, okay. I'm kind of like, okay, like, let's go. I saw a lot of comments. More Schwarber bombs at Citizens Bank Park. Sure. More Schwarber bombs in the regular season. And then what happens in the postseason? That's my issue. All this stuff happened in the regular season. What happens in the postseason? Same thing year in and year out. And until it changes, I'm sorry. That's the way I'm going to feel. That's the way I'm always going to feel. Now, let's get right into the Eagles. Let's talk about the Eagles. Eagles in chaos, man. Like, I'll tell you what. I am absolutely dumbfounded to see a team that regresses so much. And it's not just from a physical standpoint. It's a mindset regression. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. It's when you have one player or two players really missing the mark. Maybe they're running the wrong routes, right? Maybe these players are missing the calls. Maybe these players are not lining up properly. Maybe they're not executing the right blocks. If you have a couple guys, all right, listen, Super Bowl hangover is real. You put everything into winning that chip, and you're always going to have a little bit in the beginning, little regression, step back. But I'll tell you what, man, when you see the mental regression that we're witnessing on this team, I don't know how else you can look at any other way than at the coach. I know everybody wants to give Sirianni a pass. I know everybody wants to talk about Sirianni because he won a Super Bowl. I remember getting a lot of heat when I would come on here and say the same thing about Doug Peterson. I would come on here every day, and everybody knew I was not a Doug Peterson guy. Even when he won a Super Bowl, I was not a Doug Peterson guy. It's crazy. I get it, but that's just how I felt. That's who I was. By the way, how do you make out there in Jacksonville? All I'm saying is when you have a group of grown men, professional or not, and they all of a sudden start to beat to their own drum. They all of a sudden fall a deaf ear to their sensei, right? To their head coach. There's a problem. And every single one of these guys has an issue. And that could only point to me to say, look, they're just not, they're not listening to this guy. They're just not. I made a statement on Philly Sports Unfiltered with me and Tom Warren on A2D Radio. Make sure you're checking it out every Thursday night. Yeah, we had it first, by the way. But Let me just ask you this and tell me I'm wrong. So I've said if you polled the players and if you looked at these guys and you said to them, man, Coach Sirianni really helped you guys get to the Super Bowl. I feel like they would like Coach Sirianni. Now we won the Super Bowl. Coach didn't win it. I hope I'm wrong. But what I'm trying to explain is the perception. That's the perception that I feel like we're seeing. Listen, I talked about this yesterday, man. It's week 14. It's week 14 going into week 15. And we're talking about we don't have an identity. We're talking about we need to bring back veterans. We're talking about we need to bring in consultants. We're talking about we need to bring in blow up bunnies. Come on, man. If that doesn't tell you something is wrong, that's unfixable. Like it's broke. It's completely broke. Right? I know my man Danny Gallagher checking in Gallagher's Plumbing. I know Danny. Listen, Danny will respect this. It's not like I can go out there and get a bunch of, Gorilla Tape, Gorilla Glue, or Flex Seal and fix my drain line. Right? It's only going to last so long. It's going to blow out. But eventually, the whole thing needs to be replaced. And right now, this plumbing's broke, man. It's broke. There's no quick fix, in my opinion. There's no quick fix whatsoever, in my opinion. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's players, if there's a lot of animosity. I'm not sure. I know there's all these reports that come out. I try not to get lost in them because we have no idea. I just go by body language. And the body language is bad. The body language is bad. My man Rob checking in says fans have to understand the teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs, even those Patriots teams, they've played a lot of football over the last few years, and it takes a toll. Success comes with a price. Very, very well said. Very well said. I like that. So true. Like I said, man, they put it all in to win that chip last year. They put it all in to win that chip last year. And when they went all in to win that chip, they faced adversity. They were banged up. We watch a guy like Cam Jurgens, guy like Landon Dickerson. These guys, and can I talk about 1 second and I like to keep receipts, man. I do. I love receipts. I love receipts. And what I mean by good and bad. Good and bad. Everybody checking in, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you're checking in on the Heat Ratio Sports page, make sure you get over to the Tony Cutillo page. What's up, Trevor? Jake's all back. Yo, Trev, I never left, bro. I never left. Like, I've always been here. The problem is I'm just doing a lot of different things, man. Just like yourself. Right? I'm doing a lot of different things and I'm having fun. Right? Listen, I say this all the time, Trevor. I say this all the time. I give mad respect to the radio hosts, the Philly radio hosts that go into work every single day and have to talk about the same thing every day. Because I would not be able to do it. That's why I love fantasy and sports betting so much. Because I would not be able to do it. That's why I rebranded the Tony Cutillo Show on podcast to talk about a lot of different things. Talk about the what if in sports, right? Right, Trev, same thing here in Miami. Like you just said. I just don't know how you do it every single day. So I'm trying to do different things. Got my U Sports podcast, Fighting for Overtime. Make sure everybody goes out there and checks it out. Like, subscribe, Fighting for Overtime, wherever you get your podcasts at, man. Some great, great conversations on the Fighting for Overtime podcast. The Tony Cutillo Show right here on YouTube. This is the live version, right? These are the live reactions that we do. However, you'll see all the content on the Tony Cutillo Show where we look back. We talk about the steroid era. We talk about the most hurtful Philly losses. I got multiple shows lined up, which, again, in studio right here, which I cannot friggin' wait for it. But Trevor, I never left my man. I'm always here. It's just a matter of what I'm doing at the current time. So my point is, I continue to see people popping off and talking and this and that. And I guess what I'll say before I get back to the sports is my issue with me is I always think I have to be perfect. That's just me. Right. I need a perfect background. I need a perfect sound. I need a perfect overlay. I need a perfect everything. That's just me. And sometimes I get in my own head at times. Right. Sometimes I get in my own head at times. It happens. Right. It happens. It's like I want people to be like, yo, that shit pops. That's what I want. I don't want to be like, yo, dude, what's up with that, man? What are you in your in a bunker somewhere? Like, I don't want that. I get it. Listen, this isn't radio. This is live streaming, right? I care about what's in my background. I care about what it looks like. I care that I'm 1080p. I care at all, right? Oh, snap. Oh, come on. Come on, Chris. Yo, you know. Of course. Let's go. Let's go. Yes, it's been a while. It's been a while. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I promise you guys, this more reaction is back. I've been working on so much. Okay. I'm working on so much. If you are watching on, dude, I didn't get a notification. Whoa, what's up? I don't know. Well, listen, here's the thing. Listen, I'll be honest, man. I'm not streaming live on Twitter because I ain't paying for it no more. Tired of it. I think it's ridiculous. Right? I'm taking a stand this year. I ain't paying for that shit no more. So now strictly on YouTube, Facebook, and podcast. That's it. You will not see me live streaming on Twitter unless somebody else wants to pay me to do it. I'm not doing it. Okay. And again, I think there's more professional people here than there is on Twitter. Rob, I'll get to your comment 1 second. So again, here's what I ask. Tony Cutillo Show on YouTube. Very, very simple. Okay. Tony Cutillo Show on YouTube. That's all you need to do. Go make sure you hit like, you hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and every time you'll see all the content that's on there. Again, the Heat Ratio Sports page, I'm streaming on there right now to bring everybody over to the Tony Cutillo Show Network. Okay? It's not a network, it's a show. I'm sorry. Tony Cutillo Show from the Heat Ratio Sports Network. And this obviously is produced by me and my media company, RiseAndReactMedia.com. And again, if you are into betting, if you are into sports, fantasy sports, right there, BetQL, Tails, Better Picks, Underdog, Sleeper. There's a QR code right there. It says free plays. Yes, I'm not kidding. It is. Okay, there is a free picks page right there. But most importantly, that is the Tony Cutillo link tree right there. You click on that. Everything is going to be there everywhere that you can find me. Now, let's get back into this because, again, if you want to be live right now on the program, if you want to call in, very, very simple. Very, very simple. The link is in the comments. I dropped it in there, right? It's right there. Very, very simple. You do not have to have a camera. You do not have to have a camera. All you need to do is click on that link. Click on that link. If you are on Facebook and you want to get live into the program, head over to YouTube. Okay, however, type in Tony Cutillo Show. Very simple. Boom. Hit like, hit subscribe, jump in a live stream. You get the link. You can hop on. You can call them from your phone. That's it. I'll get you live on the air. We can have a conversation. So let's get into this. Thing about the Eagles, my man Rob checking in says, the thing about the Eagles is Rob 5657. The thing about the Eagles is they have great ownership and a really good GM with a ton of draft capital and money to spend. No doubt they will fix the issues. Just don't see it this year. I don't disagree. The thing is, I'm not out, right? I'm not out. And that's the thing. Like, I am definitely not out. My biggest thing is with the Eagles is the coach. My biggest thing with the Eagles is the coach. I was not sold on the coach in the beginning. I don't care that he won a Super Bowl. I'm still not sold on the coach. Here's the thing. Think about this, and this is what I always ask. All the Nick Sirianni truthers out there. Everybody knows who my coaches are, right? Everybody knows who my coaches are. Sean McVay, Sean Payton, and yes, Mike Tomlin, But everybody understands that if one of those guys, let's just talk about Sean Payton right now. If Sean Payton was here and this issue was going on, will we have confidence that Sean Payton would get it rectified? I know I would. Do you have confidence that Nick Sirianni can get it rectified? No. No, I don't. I think he has lost the respect of a lot of his players. You can only be the CEO coach if you can get into the psyche and the mindset of the players. Remember that. They called him the CEO coach. Why is that? Why is that? It's because they wanted, as always, they wanted to make sure that they were in control, but they had a guy who was an admin guy. He was administrator. That's what he was. Well, guess what? His admin right now sucks. And he can't figure it out. See, that's my issue, man. That's my issue. He can't figure it out. And I am telling you right now, again, I am telling you right now that I am not sold that he can figure it out. I'm not sold, man. I'm messing around all with this. I like this. I'm not sold that he can figure it out. I'm just not. Javon says, this is the best Eagles talk breakdown I've heard today. A lot of people today have been jumping out the window and making hype. Yeah, listen. And Javon, you know me, man. You know me. Listen, at the end of the day, in a perfect world, you'd be listening to me. Okay, but the problem is I don't want to drive to Center City to be on the radio. I'm just going to do it right here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it right here because it ain't worth it to me. It ain't worth it to me, right? And all the people, first of all, can we just pump the brakes on the Tanner McKee talk? Listen, man. Listen. This is what I'm going to say. Now, I have not. I will tell you, honest to God, I listened to 1 hour of Philly radio today, and it's the only time I listen, which is middays with Marks. The only time I listen because I like Johnny Marks' format. I like the guys that he has on, whether it be Jason Martinez, whether it be Harry Mays, whether it be Sean Brace. I know Sam Wilson was on. Like I just like how he's kind of mixing it up and bringing back and bringing people in. I do. I like it. And I only listened to him for an hour. And it had nothing to do with Harry Mays or Johnny Marks. But I'm just saying, a couple of people calling in with the Tanner McKee thing is ridiculous. Can we just pump the brakes on that for a second? Here's my issue with this whole Tanner McKee talk. Yes, Tanner McKee is a different style of quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not Drake May. Tanner McKee is closer to Drake May than Jalen Hurts is. However, we've all known who and what Jalen Hurts' abilities are. We all know what his limitations are. Your job as a coach and as a staff is to pick out what he does best and to make an offense around that. Very simple. Too often this year, they have him doing things he's not good at doing. Sometimes you can work your ass off as much as you can. You can work your ass off as much as physically possible, okay, to try to get to where you need to be. Sometimes those limitations, they're concrete. They're going to be there. But this is professional football. You don't always have elite quarterbacks. You have very, very good quarterbacks that have shown they can win in the big games at the big time on the big stage. However, you have to support these quarterbacks. You have to do an offense around these quarterbacks. This offense looks like it's completely different. And a lot of things that they're doing is not to Jalen Hurts' strength. Listen, we know he has not played well. I understand that. Look, I'm not here to argue and say to guys, no. I'm not here to point fingers at everybody else. No. But what I'm saying is, yes, Please, for the love of God, Javon, thank you. Thank you. Again, what the hell happened to the RPOs? What happened? I'm dumbfounded. What happened to the RPOs? Like, all these things started happening this year. Hurts isn't going to run. No RPOs. No crossing around. No slants. They finally threw some slants last night, right? I just don't understand why everything has changed. I don't know. I don't get it. But listen, I'm not pointing the finger at any one person in particular. But what I'm saying is, you people need to stop with the Jalen Hurt bullshit. I am so tired of it. It's nauseating. It's no. Why do we live in a city that always wants the second option? Why? Explain that to me. Why do we always want the second option? Do you understand? Can we all agree on this? If the second option was always that much better, do we understand he wouldn't be a backup? Like, he's not this diamond in the rough that we're just keeping. And let me ask you something. If you are a business guy, if you're a business guy and you have two people, one's going to cost you 200 plus million, one's going to cost you 5 million. Okay. And if you think the $5 million guy is better than a $200 million guy, why the hell would you pay a guy 200 million? You must be an idiot as an owner. Come on, man. People need to wake up. It's so ridiculous, these arguments that I hear about Jalen Hurts being terrible. Okay? I am so tired of it. So tired of it, right? It's ridiculous. The fact that the Eagles have not yet. Meanwhile, watch the Chargers call a read option. Yeah, they were calling read options for Herbert. You know why? You know why, Javon? You know why. Look at the this ain't even about calling the offense. Look at the coach. Look at Jim Harbaugh. Look at the coach. Again, it's all about coaching. It's always been about coaching, man. What do you people not understand? The best years that Jalen Hurts ever had statistically came under Shane Steichen, right? We do understand that, right? I'm going to give everybody a freaking history lesson real fast. Anybody is tuning in, I'm going to give everybody a quick history lesson. Okay, I just gave my two sons, a history lesson the other day. Again, make sure you like, you subscribe to the Tony Cutillo Show right here on YouTube. I see there's about 14 people on the Heat Ratio Sports page that are stragglers. They're over there watching us live. If you're on the Heat Ratio Sports page, come over to the Tony Cutillo Show page, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification, and get the friggin' vibe. So let me talk to you about one thing. Everybody, I hope, realizes that statistically, in this season, the regular season, his best times came with Shane Steichen. And why is that? Because Shane Steichen knows how to run an offense. Why does he know how to run an offense? Why? Why does he know how to run an offense? Because he's smart. He gets it. What did he do with Daniel Jones this year? Knew how to run an offense, structured around what Daniel Jones does. You know why he knows how to run an offense? Do you understand whose tutelage Shane Steichen is from? Do you understand who Shane Steichen had? You understand? Come on, man. I'm going to give you a quick history lesson. When Shane Steichen was a quality controls guy, he was learning from Norv Turner. Does anybody know the word Norv Turner? Anybody know the name Norv Turner? Give everybody a history lesson. Norv Turner was one of the most prolific offensive play callers in all the NFL. And who did he help mentor? Shane Steichen. Where's Sirianni in this conversation? I'm just saying that because you talked about Sirianni, whether it's Sirianni offense, whether it's not his offense, he's involved. There's so many layers to peel here. Let me get to some of these comments. My man Chris checking in, man. He says Jalen is a very good quarterback who can match the level of his opposition. Why is it the media uses that to degrade Jalen's abilities? These coaches aren't using that. I don't get it. I don't. Like, I'm not there. Okay. I'm not there. And Christian, I say this all the time. I'm not there, but I would love it. And I'm going to do some digging tonight. I'm not there, but let me ask you this. Are the people in Buffalo, when Josh Allen has a bad game, or are they calling for the backup? Patrick Mahomes looks like he couldn't hit a tractor trailer parked in a Walmart parking lot right now with the way he's playing. And do I hear anybody calling for Patrick Mahomes' job in Kansas City and getting the backup in? Do I hear any of that? That's my issue. That's my issue. This guy went toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes. This guy should have won 2 Super Bowls, outplayed him both times, and won a goddamn MVP. Last time I checked, Josh Allen ain't got a goddamn ring yet. Okay, but Jalen Hurts does. But somehow, some way, when Jalen Hurts plays up to the competition, right? When he plays up to the competition and sometimes outplays that competition, we still don't give him his flowers. We use it as a negative. We talk about, well, why can't he play like this all the time? Why can't he play like this all the time? He needs to be challenged. No, dude, stop. This is the kind of, I'm sweating right now. This is the kind of stuff that really pisses me off. This is why I try to stay away on the Philly sports talk. But you know what? A lot of people that follow me and a lot of people that are invested in me, they like to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it. Screw it. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about better than most people in Philadelphia can talk about it. How's that? Okay, because that's how cocky my ass is. All right? So let's get to some more comments. Javon says, you saw what happened when they ran the ball from under center and called some passing plays. It worked. But then they go back to being shotgun heavy and empty sets. I was scratching my head after that. It's almost like the play, the fantastic wrinkle that they threw in there with the fake tush push and tossed it to Saquon Barkley. And he took off. I was like, yo, finally. And then they start running it up the gut again, where they know obviously Dickerson's hurt. Toth stinks. Steen stinks. Jurgens is playing like he's got no legs. Okay. But we keep just running into friggin' walls. Why are we not going back to the same play? I don't understand it. It's mind-boggling to me. But again, that's not Jalen calling a play. And I don't think it's all Cutillo. I don't want to hear about Cutillo. I don't want to hear about it. I don't. It's like I said, there's just a lot of issues going on in this team. Javon says, oh no, we read that one. Let me, my man iRob says, I have a ton of respect and admiration for Jalen, as do I, Rob. But my biggest concern is it seems like he's really pressing and in his own head. That's not something we typically see from him, and it's concerning. Can I get a ding, 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 ding? If I have my own producer right here, I get the drop. I get a drop. Actually, I have all professional equipment here. I probably do the drops. I'm just getting lazy. I don't feel like doing them. But you're spot on. You're spot on. I've noticed that as well. And I do think a lot of that, let's talk about the elephant in the room, a lot of that has to do with A.J. Brown. If you come to me on this show right now and tell me that A.J. Brown is not a problem, we're going to have a strong disagree. A strong disagree. A.J. Brown is 100% an issue. And I think a lot of it, two things, what you're just saying, Rob, is I think I'm going by that. If your name is not Rob, I apologize. I'm just going by your iRob5657. So what I will say, honestly, is one thing for certain. Two things with Jalen. Number one, he could be pressing because he's having issues with his number one receiver. He's trying to figure out how to make him happy because he's always crying and he's not happy. Number two, he's running an offense like we got in the beginning that doesn't suit him. And because he's running an offense that doesn't suit him, he's pressing to make it work. See, let's think about this point. And I'm going to throw this out there. You ain't heard this on Philly radio. Okay, you ain't heard any of this on Philly radio. Who's saying this viewpoint right here? He's pressing because he's a prideful quarterback. Because all his life, Jalen Hurts has been coached up, whether it be from his father in the Pee Wee League or whether it be from his college coaches to his NFL coaches, and that includes coordinators. He's been coached up, and in his mind, Jalen Hurts has always been able to conquer. He's always been able to conquer, no matter what the situation, he's been able to conquer. This is a situation. We talked about it. Sometimes a quarterback is limited, and no matter how hard you try, you're always going to be limited in a couple things. And that's probably pissing him off. And they're forcing him to try to make that narrative change and say he can conquer it. And unfortunately, he can't, and he's pressing, and that's why he looks out of sorts. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. And I might have got convoluted with my words right there because I'm being very passionate, but you get the goddamn point. You get the goddamn point. But here's the thing. Rob says, we fire the OC, we fire the head coach, and then what? Who do we bring in? Dable, Peterson, same Green College coach? I don't know. You know, I think it's more the coach than the coordinator, man. I'm being dead ass serious. I think it's more the coach than the coordinator. I do. I think if you kept these guys in place, let's think about it. Let's think about it for a second. Let's just play. And again, I don't want to get this cliche about fire the coach right now, who we bringing in and all this. It's almost like the backup quarterback thing. Okay. However, if you spin it a little differently and say, if this guy was here, X would happen. If this guy was here, X wouldn't happen. Think about it. Think about teams right now. Would you see Matt LaFleur? If Matt LaFleur was here right now, if Ben Johnson was here right now, would these offensive struggles continue? Would he step in? Would he figure it out? I highly think that. I highly think that he would. I do. But again, I think this is because, number one, Sirianni has lost the locker room. He's lost the respect from his players. And a lot of it could be the way he handled certain things. Listen, here's a scenario. Let's think about this. If I am right, let me ask you this. If I am right, what I mean by being right is if me saying AJ Brown is 100% not the problem, but a problem. If I am right and say he was very vocal, and say if the players were very annoyed with that, and if Nick didn't take care of that when he could have taken care of it and allowed it to linger on, wouldn't that mean some of his players might lose respect for him? Wouldn't that mean some of his players would turn a blind eye to Nick? Wouldn't that mean some of his players be like, man, this dude don't care. He's letting this dude do whatever he wants. And you know, whatever, I'm going to do whatever I want. And everybody goes into business for themselves. Think about that. Think about it. It's a scenario people ain't talking about. I'm just saying. My man Albert checking in says, the OC is not calling plays to his players' strengths. 100% agree. He seems to have changed the blocking schemes. He has. And I am wondering, Albert, if that's because of injuries, if that's because of this talent level. I'll get back to that 1 second. The O-line looks like they're not sure who to block. I understand they have injuries, but they look slow. They do. The offensive line used to be fire off the ball and drive. Not this year. Completely agree. I will say this. I think they underestimated the abilities of Steen. And I will say this, and I said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. And you go back and look at some receipts from, I will say, and this for anybody watching this show on replay, I actually did a whole video about it. I cut it up where I said the most important player to bring back in the offseason was Mekhi Becton. I personally said the most important player to bring back the Philadelphia Eagles as a free agent was Mekhi Becton. And the reason why I said that was because I said, number one, we don't know how good these other guys really are, and he was extremely dominant. But number two, and this is where it gets deep, number two, you have a guy in Cam Jurgens who is obviously playing. We knew he had to get surgery at that time. He was playing hurt with a bad back, and backs just don't heal overnight. You have a tackle in Lane Johnson who's Hall of Fame. However, if he goes down, you have nobody to replace him. Okay. And guess what? Mekhi Becton could slide over to tackle if necessary. And that's why I said he was the most important person to sign in the offseason. And they let him go for peanuts. They let him go for peanuts. Now, irregardless what that's translated to this year for the Chargers, I don't care. It's just a point of what we had the opportunity to do last year that we did not do. And I think in the offseason, that one move, think about it, right now, if you have Mekhi Becton right now, he covers a lot of deficiencies in the running game, especially with the tush push, because right now, Cam Jurgens is getting it done. Steen's not getting it done. So that's very important. Very, very, very important. Javon says, Tony, we just saw Sam Darnold implode a few weeks ago versus the Rams, and I bet people weren't calling for Drew Lock. Oh, my God, Javon, what a great point. What a great point. Seriously, was anybody calling for Drew Lock in Seattle? Was anybody calling for Clint Kubiak? Was anybody say, Clint Kubiak, you suck? Clint Kubiak, get out of here. Was anybody doing that? Not last time I checked. Not last time I checked. But again, we do that here in Philadelphia. We do it all the time. All the time. I get it. We're reactionary. We're very emotional. But again, great point, Javon. My man Albert says, I respectfully disagree. I think the OC is the problem. I like the head coach. Albert, that's interesting. I would love for you, because I respect the hell out of your knowledge. Okay. I know on a personal note, I know the experiences that you have on your own. I know how much you go back and you study and you know about the sports world. But I would ask you from afar, just so everybody knows, Albert's not in Philadelphia. Okay. So I would love to hear your opinion from afar and tell me why you like the head coach. Because I will tell you what I see, in my opinion. And this has happened already here in Philadelphia. In 2023, when that collapse happened, there was a lot of comments about the Sirianni act on the sideline was getting old. The Sirianni act on the practice field was getting old. People were like, "Ah, this dude just ain't it." You know, I'm a little tired of it. He has to be reined in a little bit. Okay, he's embarrassing at times. Really not the players coach that we thought he was. And at that time, if you remember, even though that wasn't epic collapse, they still had veterans on that team to try to sweep that narrative under the rug. So I look at Sirianni, Albert, the same way. And I look at him and say, this dude, he's just lost his way. All the fire. Listen, I appreciate the fire and this and that. However, you have to, if you don't, how do I say this? If I watch him and he's let me say this. Okay, here's a good example. I coached for 20 years. Anybody in this chat that's been a coach will understand what exactly I'm going to say. And again, I was extremely, extremely difficult to deal with from a referee standpoint, from assistant coach standpoint, from parents. I was nuts. Okay. I had to learn how to tame myself down. And one of the most important things I had to learn was, if my players see me acting a fool, acting like an idiot, okay, and being disrespectful and being over the top, they're going to do the same thing. And I can't have them do that. Okay. So I look at Sirianni the same way. Like, what are you showing out there? Like, there's one thing to have, there's one thing to have raw emotion. I get it. However, there's one thing to be a little bit immature and way too over the top. And I think that's where we're at with Sirianni. And I think that hurts him, Albert. I do. I think that hurts him. But I want you to think about what I mentioned earlier. And I want to start really diving into this. We're going to get to Tony's top three in a minute because I want your guys' opinion on my top three. I really, really want to talk about the A.J. Brown factor. That if it is as it's perceived to be, that he is a problem. So in Philadelphia, we had the issue with Terrell Owens, right? We all know that. We had the issue with Terrell Owens. No matter what, Andy Reid knew at one time how to handle things. My point is, if A.J. Brown is indeed an issue, or was a greater issue at the beginning of the year, and you had an opportunity as a coach, as a CEO coach, to nip it in the bud a little bit, if you had that opportunity, my question to you and my question to everybody is, if the coach didn't take care of it and allowed him to go into business for himself, what are the other players thinking at that point? And if that's the case, do the other players now lose a respect factor for their head coach, which is why we're seeing this all play out right now? Again, just asking. It's something that was going through my head. Javon says, if Mike Vrabel was here right now, they wouldn't be playing undisciplined football. Hell no. Hell no. And you know what, man? Bringing up the Mike Vrabel point is going to be a great segue right to my top three. So again, as always, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. Again, Tony Cutillo Show, at Tony Cutillo Show, everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, and then obviously YouTube, where you're going to get all the live streams and all the what if episodes with all the guests as well. Planning another one right now. Going to have a bunch of people on. I can't wait. Got my boy Coach Dave coming back, talk about some Bo Jackson. I got my girl Carm coming on. You saw Hoops with Carm. If you don't know Hoops with Carm, you need to follow Hoops with Carm. I'm going to get her here. We're going to talk about what happened to the dunk contest. And again, if anybody out there is listening, and again, whether it be live right here in my studio or live on the air, I'm looking for somebody. I want to do a mute 90s hip hop and R&B. I want to do a 90s hip hop and R&B lace show, and talk about what ifs. And what we always do on these what if episodes is we kind of like, what if the steroid era didn't happen? If it didn't happen, who would be the true home run king? If Ken Griffey Jr. didn't get hurt, would he be the true home run king? Things like that. And I want to get into it with the music standpoint as well. So I want to get into my top three right now. Let's get into the top three. And I want to get your opinion on some of my top three stories, because I got some questions when it comes to nationally. Okay. I got some questions nationally and one fantasy football question that we're going to throw in there too. So right now we're back right here on the Tony Cutillo Show with the top three. And again, shout out to all our betting partners. We're on the bottom. We got BetQL. We use that code word Jigsaw. You get 50% off. You got the Plus Money Prop Train by our friends over at Odd Shopper Tails. That's $5 a week for all the plus money bets. We got our boys Better Picks with our deposit matches. We got our boys from Underdog with deposit matches. And we got our boys from Sleeper that you don't see. I forgot to put up there that I will get up there again. And all you need to do is scan a QR code right there. That's going to take you right to my Linktree account. No, listen, there's no trick. It just takes your Linktree account. It'll show you everything that we have to offer. And again, like I always say, support the little guy every now and then. Support the little guy. All right, so let's get into the top three. And I'm going to bring up number one, Phillip Rivers, back at 44. Think about this, man. I'm actually so interested to see my man out there slinging it again. I am. Like, I know it's crazy. I get it. But all power to Phillip Rivers. If he can actually, if you miss, he signed to the practice squad today for the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously has history there. Right? Obviously, they're at that pinnacle, and I think it's a brilliant move. I think it's a brilliant move. I know a lot. Listen, there's no risk here. No risk. Right now, you've been like you already said with this move right here. You have legitimately said to yourself that you are going to ride Jonathan Taylor. You are going to ride Jonathan Taylor back into as far as you can go into the playoffs. Okay. You're going to ride him as far as he can go. So you just need a veteran game manager. And what does this all come down to? What does this all come down? This comes down to, again, Shane Steichen understanding how to run an NFL style offense at an elite level and to put his players in position. Think about what Phil Rivers walks into. Think about what Phil Rivers walks into. And I will say this. I think that Philip Rivers is set up more for success than Aaron Rodgers was going to Pittsburgh. I will say that. I definitely will say that. And Albert, I'm going to get back to those Philly points in a minute, right after we do this top three. I like it. Philip Rivers is now grandfather, but he's reunited with Taylor and Michael Pittman. Exactly. And Javon, think about it. He's got a top rookie in Tyler Warren at the tight end position. He's got an MVP candidate in Jonathan Taylor, right? Like you said, right? He's got a scat receiver in Josh Downs. He's got Pittman, who's a strong guy that you could throw in and get. And then you got, again, what do you call it? Alec Pierce. You got Alec Pierce. And, like, again, the thing is, I look at this and say it's a brilliant move. Because you can't go with a rookie when you have an opportunity. Like, they're writing a balance out. They're fighting for their playoff lives, right? They're fighting because the AFC, man, it's all over the place. But they're fighting now. They're right on the outskirts looking in. And this is a great move. This is a move to say, hey, Phillip, we just need you to be game manager. We just need you to be game manager. That's it. I love it. I love the move. So what do you think of Philip Rivers? I love to say it. I love to say it. Right? I love to say it. Albert, I promise. I love your comments there about the Philly situation. We're going to get back to that in a minute. So, again, Philip Rivers, 44, going to the Indianapolis Colts, could sign on the practice squad. Obviously, they didn't want to sign it. They think he could do it. So, I think he comes in. I have high hopes, man. I do. Just based on what I know about Steichen and the way, the biggest thing is they do have a few holes on the offensive line that they're listen. It's just like Pittsburgh. You can't afford to watch Philip Rivers, just like Aaron Rodgers, get hit constantly. You're going to have to protect him. But if you can protect him, he's going to throw a lot of quick slants. There's going to be a lot of running, right? Yeah, exactly. Albert says I love the Rivers move. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I do. I think it's so brilliant, so brilliant. All right, let's go to number 2. And this is my dilemma. Okay. And it's, we're going to call this fantasy football hurt. Obviously, everybody knows I'm a fantasy guy. Okay. Everybody knows I do fantasy football. Maybe you heard me on Sirius for 3 years, on obviously channel Sirius, Fantasy Sports Radio, channel 87XM, every Sunday night or Sunday mornings, talking some fantasy, talking some sports betting. And there's no doubt in my mind that you'll hear me back on there again one day. But the fantasy football hurt for me is when I get exited in the first round of the playoffs. And the reason why I get exited is I watch a guy, one receiver that I drafted, a wide receiver 1, who unfortunately gets hurt. And I get beat by his backup, who scores 37 friggin' points. Yes, I'm talking about, I have Marvin Harrison Jr., and the guy I played had Michael Wilson. So you talk about fantasy football hurt. is when you have the number one guy and you get beat by the number two guy because your number one guy can't hurt. Now, I will say this: I patchworked a lot this year. Okay, I've had tons of injuries. I played this week without Marvin Harrison, without Drake London. Right, I have Travis Hunter on IR. Like I had so many injuries this year; it's crazy. So the fantasy football hurt for me was real. Now, here's an interesting topic I want to get into. And I honestly want everybody's take on this because I've had multiple conversations on Twitter all day, professionally and unprofessionally. And that is, we're going to call this Justin Herbert exposed. This is a media question. And if you didn't, if in case you didn't see it or you didn't read about it, I watch everything. I watched it live. I knew before they started tweeting about it. Was when Laura Rutledge from ESPN, great professional media journalist, reporter for ESPN, was trying to get Justin Herbert, trying to get the statement into the game. And again, before we get into everything, I get it. Everybody hates it. It's cliche. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. And he was all pissed off. He was. That's not sugarcoat it. And I understand it. I understand. He was like, I just want to go celebrate my teammates. Like, he was like, and he did give her some shitty answers in the beginning. So everybody says he was a good soldier. He wasn't. He wasn't. And shout out to Laura Rutledge for being a professional and not letting it bother her, because it would have bothered me. I probably would have got fired because I would have went off. My whole issue is with this is, number one, we all know it's part of the game. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and I get it. You had a quick brain miss, okay? Meaning you were just caught up in the moment. I understand it. It wasn't a horrific deal. However, it could have stopped right there. You didn't have to have a sour puss on your face. You didn't have to give that eye roll or the fake lip. You didn't have to do any of that. You could have just done what you're paid to do, which is in the collective bargaining agreement, okay, for the CBA, right, with the players union, where it says that you have to do these interviews. You already know this, okay? You already know it. But my issue is more with the people. And it's the people I really need to ask the question. And I've said this before, and I don't understand the infatuation with sticking up for athletes and celebrities. I'm not trying to sound like a bad person here, but why on God's earth do people waste so much energy sticking up for athletes, sticking up for celebrities? They don't care about you. I mean, honestly, it's something that boggles my mind. People will run through the fire for these people. Why? Like, I'm not saying in a bad way, but they don't care. They don't know who you are. They say it all the time. I have had so many people talk about, oh, you don't even know Justin. He's such a great guy. Oh, that Justin. Why are you hating on Justin? Such a nice dude. Is he really? I'm not saying he's not, but like, how do you know? And why are you wasting so much energy on trying to say that Justin Herbert is such a great guy and didn't do anything wrong? When you run a red light and you get pulled over by the cops, you say, hey, officer, Justin Herbert's going to come to my defense. He's going to say, no, he really didn't mean to run the red light, officer. Like, come on, dude. Give me a break. How about sticking up for Laura Rutledge? How about sticking up for the person who probably lives out of her suitcase every day? Yeah, she's working a great job and she makes good money, but it ain't friggin' easy. It ain't easy. This whole narrative, all these people that wake up in the morning and say, I want to just be just like this person because their job's easy. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something. None of those jobs are easy. None of them. None of them. I'm gonna give you one even further. How about this job? I call it a job. How about this job? This ain't friggin' easy. Everybody thinks it's so easy. You know how many podcast sites I go on and people talk about, oh, why does it sound bad? Or why can't I come up with this? Or how do I do this? How do I do that? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is this takes work. It's work, dude. It's a lot of work. Hours and hours and hours. And what do you think Laura Rutledge does? You don't think she spends hours and hours preparing on what to ask? The notebook that they have on the sideline, because they're prepared for that moment to grab that player or that celebrity and talk to them for literally 15 to 20 seconds. And not to mention, I am going to go there, not to mention that she is a female, so she probably gets even more heat. Okay, she probably gets more heat, so she's got to deal with that bullshit too. About a moron's probably jumping in her DMs. She's probably getting talking shit all day. Ridiculous. I don't understand what we have as a society, what the infatuation is about sticking up for celebrities and athletes. We do it a ton in Philadelphia, a ton. Like, don't say nothing bad about AJ Brown. The AJ Brown police are going to come after you. Oh, he's such a great guy. How do you know he doesn't deserve? Hey, and they get into the comments. It cracks up. Hey, AJ, it's okay. Hey, AJ. Oh, don't listen to him, AJ. What? Why? Honestly, why? It's such a joke to me. It really is. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I'll never be that person. Please tell if anybody, okay, if anybody ever sees me comment in a professional athlete or celebrity's thread and say, it's okay, don't listen to him. You're so great. Just slap me in the face, please. Come find me and slap me right in the friggin' face. Because I can't get past that stuff. I can't. I don't understand it. Justin Herbert was dead ass wrong last night. He was dead wrong. He deserves to get a little bit of negative press about it because he was wrong. And we should be lifting up Laura Rutledge for her professionalism on what she's done, okay, to not make it awkward because it could have easily went awkward. So that's my top three for tonight. If you have any comments, make sure you check in after the show. Let me know what you think. Be very curious. I'm a very active person when it comes to the thread. So if you want to comment on YouTube, and I will be active on there, and we will go back and forth. So before we get out of here, I'm going to get a couple comments from my man Albert, because I did ask him about why he thinks Sirianni, why he likes him, and I loved it. I want to say his response says, "You're going to know more inside info being in Philly," which, granted, we know that, but this is why I like the outside opinion. He says, "I look at his record year by year, and he is winning. I think OC choices will kill a head coach." I don't disagree. "I think he could have handled the AJ situation much better. I think we're too quick to get rid of a coach with his record and want a Super Bowl." Listen, I get it. I do. I get every state. I get everything you just said there. I do. I understand it. And what I would say is maybe I would feel much differently if 2023 would have never happened. That's my point. If 2000, and here's the thing, Albert, this is what I look at. In 2023, there were so many bad vibes, and there were so many questions about that head coach, to the point where we didn't even know he was coming back, right? We had no idea. And what happens? You catch lightning in a bottle the following year, and they win a Super Bowl, which I do think, everything just went right. But the same thing with Doug Peterson. So my whole point was, if 2023 doesn't happen, and all the stuff that came out in 2023 never came out, I probably wouldn't be quick to just be like, I'm out on Nick Sirianni. But I can't just look at his Super Bowl win alone, because I have to look at what's best for this franchise, because the days of the head coach, like a Mike Tomlin, being here forever, I think they're over. And the reason why they're over is because those head coaches worked so well for so long, because they always had the same nucleus of players. They always kept the same coaching staff for the most part. Well, here in this day and age, in this era, when you're constantly bringing in rookies and that have to play meaningful snaps, and you have a lot of turnover in the free agency market, sometimes you always need different messaging because you're dealing with different personalities. And I think that's where Nick Sirianni gets swallowed up. I do. I think he gets swallowed up because I don't think he's a structure guy at all. And I just think he's a rah-rah guy. And sometimes I'll speak this to my own experiences. I knew at times, not from an entire team standpoint, but from specific players in the past that I've coached, I knew there was no pumping them up. I knew no matter what, my message was always going to fall weak. I already knew. I knew it 100%. I already knew that it wasn't going to work. And if I knew that with just a couple kids, what would happen if a whole team was like that? And that's what I feel like is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Listen, I say all the time, I want to be wrong. Okay. I always want to be wrong. I do. I always want to be wrong because I believe Philadelphia, right? I love it. But unfortunately, I don't feel like I'm wrong here. I think all the signs are pointing to that direction. And I do think, like I said earlier, I think that A.J. Brown incident in the beginning of the year, I think that is having a big domino effect when it comes to culture, right? Locker room culture, team culture, and a lot of animosity within that locker room. So I think that's something that may come out another time. But that's just my brain, the way I'm working, the way I operate, and obviously what I say. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to the Tony Cutillo Show. Like I said, very, very easy. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit the notification bell. You will see a ton of different content on the Tony Cutillo Show, all hosted by me. So if you don't like me, don't follow the show. But if you like me, follow the show. There's something for everybody. You got the alternative edge, which will be, again, that is strictly for sports betting and fantasy sports. Okay, that is sponsored by our good friends over there at BetQL. You get the Plus Money Prop Train, which is sponsored and branded together, partnered with our good friends at Odd Chopper Tales. And then, as always, we got our partners at Better Picks. We got Underdog, obviously, and Sleeper. You can scan this QR code right here. Very, very simple. And what that's going to do is that's going to get you right in to, listen, it's right here. I mean, you got it all right here. This is what, again, let me get the overlay off. Again, I'm the only person, right? I am the only person. So get this overlay off. But right here, now see, I can't even find it, man. Look at this. It says up here, right? So this is what you get right here. Obviously, you got your Better Picks, get your free $10, 50% deposit match up to $200. You see your sleeper deal. You got your underdog deal. You got your tails deal. You got code Jigsaw for BetQL and RotoQL, which is the DFS. Okay. All your betting and fantasy deals are right there. All you need to do is scan the QR code again, just scan it. Boom. Scan it and you get your deal and you can check it out. And again, most importantly, make sure that you're locked in right here on the Tony Cutillo Show, because a lot of cool content coming up when we talk about the podcast show, the video cast, I'm going to call it the Tony Cutillo video cast, which is not live. It's pre-recorded, but it's with a guest. It's always with a guest talking about a specific topic. And then we do Jigsaw's Final Cut, which is where we pin player A against player B, and we see who you're picking. And he always has some kind of different narrative, right? Sometimes, like when we did the steroid era, we were talking about players who we would rather have in their prime, right? Same thing with what we did a Philadelphia show was who we would rather have in your prime: Chase Utley, Bryce Harper, things of that nature. So those kind of questions, but it's not, again, you see the hashtag, not just Philly. We talk all national topics here like we just did on a top three. And as always, man, everybody, my man Albert says, totally, I gotta throw this up there because he's gonna make me tear up sometimes. Totally respect your thoughts, definitely see your point of view. I'm one of Tony's biggest fans. Love the show. You're the man, Albert. You are the man. Albert been since day one, man. Since day one. He's a day one guy. Him, Javon, always a day one guy. Even Adam. I see Adam second day one. And I have a lot of people privately that hit me up because they don't like their name shown because they just watch on Facebook, which is all good. It's all good. It's not a problem. I appreciate everybody's support. And again, man, we're going to do a little more of this. I want to get back to some more live reaction shows. That's the most important thing, is getting some live reaction shows, because I like the conversation, because everybody makes me think a little bit too. That's the most important thing. So as always, everybody, like I always say, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you back here.